Trustees meeting tonight. Would everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Should we get sworn in?
I don't know. How about after?
Right after
After
this.
the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have the swearing in of two trustees tonight to start off with.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the Constitution of the State of New York and the Constitution of the State. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the village trustee. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the trustee to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I, James Linden,
I, James Linden,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you, Anne Mary. Congratulations, Jim and Karen.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 13th day of January 2020 at 6:30 PM in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law. I'd like to open up our workshop session.
At this time, I'd like to say something. Looking at our agenda, it's obvious we have something very important missing on this agenda, actually. We need to appoint a new trustee. That's a very heavy agenda. A lot of decisions need to be made, and I feel that it would be appropriate to do so here and now before we go any further and go into any other further discussion. So I'd like to make a motion that we do that here and now to fill the seat. And do you have a second on that? Well, I'm making a motion that we hold a vote at this time. If I have a second on that, I'd like to move forward.
I would second that.
Is this something, Attorney Guard, that we should wait until our meeting, or is this something that can be handled during our workshop session?
Mayor Essick, it can be handled right now if the board feels the need to. Otherwise, it could wait till the regular meeting, but you run the meeting according to the charter, so that would be your choice, sir.
Can I make a motion? I'd like to hereby make a motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, disciplinary, suspension, dismotion, or removal of a particular person.
Okay.
This would include possibly the discussion of a trustee.
We had a motion on the table.
There's a motion on the
There was
floor.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
There was a motion.
I seconded it,
Kara had
yeah.
seconded the
Kara
motion.
second it. Okay.
Unless you would be willing to rescind your original motion and entertain the second one, we have to act on the first motion.
Correct.
Okay. Trustee Christina?
So I'm
voting
saying,
yes or no?
I'm saying to Trustee Linden, unless you want to rescind yours and go to executive session, we have to act on the original motion.
No, I feel that the amount of weight of this agenda and everything on it, including an executive session, that we are prepared with a qualified person to be placed in that seat, and I think that it would be appropriate for that person to take part in every portion of this from this point on.
Well, at this point, I don't remember any conversation with our board members. I have not been included in any conversation of any candidates brought forward. I have received 2 letters of intent, and that's the only thing I've been discussing. So if you're willing to bring someone forth at this time, I'd like to go into an executive session and discuss this.
I believe all the trustees are familiar with the candidate. I believe that every trustee has spoken to a candidate, and I believe we should move forward with this motion.
Any other further discussion? There's been a motion, a second.
Bring it to the floor for a vote.
Okay, we'll bring the motion of trustee Linden to the floor for a vote. Trustee Christina, how do you vote?
For the motion, you
We're
mean?
going into motion to bring the candidate forward.
Oh, yes,
Is that what we're,
I got it.
Well,
or do you
well,
actually
the-
want to bring a motion forward
I would like
for
to,
a specific candidate?
I would like to present a resolution and for the motion for a vote. We had the second for the motion, and this would be the,
Okay, we haven't even seen the resolution
I
yet.
can hand it all down here. Hand those down. Whoops, hold on, back up here. I got the wrong thing here.
Okay, what is, this is
Hold
not-
on, I got the wrong,
That is not,
hold
this is
on,
not bad.
back up.
Give that back, please.
Oh, wait a minute, oh, sorry. We got the wrong one here. That'll be later. That's the right one. You got that. That's why it was in the right file. Keep it on. That's the correct one. And then we have this one. They were, we had them printed out, and they apparently got a little bit mixed up.
Jim, would you prefer that we discuss this in executive session before we act on this right now? Seems as though we need to get more in order.
No, I don't prefer that we do. Okay, this is one. I'd like to just organize it here. This is one, right? No, this is the one for you, Dawn. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay. Okay,
and then the other one would be, okay, let's see if we got them all.
One as well.
Oh, that's how it came out. Each packet.
Attorney
To
Gard,
clar-
I'm sorry.
To clarify, the motion was to appoint a trustee. That's what we're voting on?
at this point, Attorney Gard, you said I can make the decision whether we act on this currently or during the board meeting, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
This is gonna be,
I make the decision right now that we act on this motion during the board meeting. I feel at this point here, we need, this causes more discussion in executive session for this.
did you get one?
You're obviously unprepared, so I think we need to discuss this.
It was a printer, yeah, as I was printing it.
So we will vote and discuss on this in our regular meeting.
but we have I don't know, how does that work with the motion that's already?
Okay, we did,
Okay,
you did bring the motion.
Okay, I don't know how this.
And while you
Is there any
do,
more needed?
you do decide the agenda of this board, okay?
Does everyone have one now?
There is a motion on the floor. It's a little bit awkward, but I think it should be acted on, given trustee Linden's concerns.
I think we all have one now. Sorry about the confusion,
If we vote
people.
no, it's a
It was-
tie. The motion was to appoint somebody.
Yeah, beat the motion.
So can we include this?
Yes.
Okay, just for Robert's rules.
Yes. Which we don't have.
Is there any further discussion before we move forward?
I guess I would rather discuss it as a board first, even if just a short meeting. That's my opinion.
That would be a separate discussion from executive session.
And it's.
I don't know if this is executive session
It's not really-
material, I don't
right,
know.
it's not really executive session material. You're talking about a public officer.
I don't know how this works, I don't.
Appropriate for executive
I'd like to
session?
just move forward.
One moment.
We have to vote, you have to vote on the motion. So if the motion is that they would like to discuss this, at the time, Kara voted yes, Jim brought it to motion yes, I vote no, I'd like to bring it to an executive session, it's up to trustee.
1 second. Okay, who sponsored this motion? Please read it.
Okay, both Kara, Christina, and I are sponsoring. We'll ask for a second on it. Whereas the Village Fredonia Charter states that the board is empowered to fill a vacancy on the board, and whereas a full board should be convened prior to the conduct of any village business, now be it therefore resolved, Eva Dawn Bashaw is hereby appointed to fill the village board vacancy. And be it further resolved, Eva Dawn Bashaw shall be sworn in prior to the conducting of any further business. Seconded it,
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay.
and then,
Okay. Trustee Christina.
Can I make a comment before I make my
Sure.
vote? Okay. I believe that it's in the best interest of the village to have a full-seated board before we go ahead with, we've got so much business to take care of. Therefore, I think it would be good to have a full-seated board in order to move forward and do that. So I vote yes.
Trustee Linden.
as I stated, this is a very heavy agenda, and is really necessary to have a full board. Whereas, should we have, if there's a trustee available and that is willing to do the job and does have the qualifications, then I think we should appoint that person in order to conduct all the business with a full board, so that there's not avoiding the possibility of a tie, where the mayor would then have to break a tie on certain issues, and many of the issues that are on this, as resolutions today. It may be a possibility, and if we could avoid that by having the fifth trustee, it makes perfect sense. So I vote aye.
Trustee Britz.
I do agree with the board. We do need to fill this position. I disagree with trustee Linden. Yes, there is quite a bit of business on the board for tonight. The candidate that they bring forth at this time hasn't been briefed on a lot of the issues that are at hand, so it'd be very difficult for that trustee to understand some of the bids that are going on in the village. There's quite a bit of different appointments going on tonight. I also feel that this should have been an executive session material so that we can discuss a couple other candidates that may have brought forth their interest in becoming a trustee of our village. I would wish we could move to table this at this time so that we can discuss it and bring it forth for the last meeting of the month that's scheduled on the 27th. So at this time, I would like to vote no.
Trustee Pecos.
I would have preferred to have a discussion with the whole board ahead of time. It probably wouldn't change my vote, but I just don't like the procedure we're using. But there's a question of whether or not this should be discussed in executive session, therefore I'm going to vote yes.
Okay. Be it shown that the resolution is passed by a 3-to-1 vote.
At this time, I hereby make a motion to enter an executive session to discuss the matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, and/or removal of particular people and persons.
Do we need to swear in that, trustee? First?
Yes, part of the resolution is that she be sworn in, so that would be
Okay.
appropriate this time.
Before we
do anything else.
Before we act on that motion, could this person be brought forward, please, and be sworn in by the clerk?
Raise your right hand. I, Peter Donald, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Hey, Marie, do we have a packet for her? I just kept hitting it. She can share with you.
We have a motion on the floor.
Okay, trustee Britz has a motion on the floor to enter into executive session. Do I hear a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay. Trustee Christina?
No.
Trustee Linden?
No.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Okay. Motion is passed, 3-2. We need to enter into executive session. Presentations, the first one's from Michael Manning from O'Brien and Gear. Hopefully, up front, thank you.
Okay, I'll be quick. This is relative to the water system improvements project. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and I've met with the board before on progress. Essentially, we took bids on December 19th, and for two contracts. Contract 2A, general construction, we had 4 bids, and contract 2B, we had 3 bids. The bids were all good. We came in just a hair over budget at a total of $1,901,002. Low bidder for the contract 2A, general construction, was Candy Corporation at $1,546,302. And contract 2B with electrical is Alstrom Schaefer at $354,700. So I'm here today to just, request permission for request the board to approve the bids. And, once the bids are awarded, then we will move ahead with the contracting phase and hope to be underway in February with the construction. One thing I would like to note is that there's a part of the contract that we moved to this project. We moved forward from the emergency water line project into this project, and we have learned that we can move that back into the water line project for funding. So that'll take $115,000 out of this project, move it to the water line project under the grant funding.
Super.
So that'll certainly help out. At this point, though, are there any questions?
My biggest concern was we don't really have any room for contingency, but now if I read you right, we have 115,000 in case something pops up that we didn't anticipate.
Within the contracts is $100,000 in contingency to be administered by the village.
For total?
Built into the bids.
Okay,
Built into
okay.
the bids. And then above that, there will be, within the available funding, there will be contingency. Probably a little less than the 115, but somewhere in that range.
Were they able to get their waivers that they needed?
That's a great question. So With each contract, we require that the contractor submit with their bid their EFC utilization plan. And the two low bidders provided plans that required a waiver request through New York State EFC. The EFC will look at that after the contracts are awarded by the village, and then we'll know whether or not they are approved. However, they are on the hook to do the work, and it's up to them to get the waivers. It's their responsibility.
Okay,
If they, no waivers, no payment, so,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions, board?
So we're going forward, if we go forward with this, or when we go forward with it, as I recall, Vineyard Drive is supposed to get done first, so we have that in case of any problems.
That's correct. So Vineyard Drive is scheduled to be, construction of Vineyard Drive is scheduled to go first. That'll happen this summer, and that will give the village full emergency backup.
Okay.
And then after that, then the sequence of the plant can take place.
Any idea, projected timeline? When are we expecting this to be all done, or hope to have it all done?
The contract should be done by the end of December.
Okay.
It all depends on the notice to proceed date.
Right.
But it is about 10 months from notice to proceed. So,
Any other questions from this side?
oh, yes, I'm sorry. So we will be forwarding the mayor a request or notice of award letter, and we're going to ask the mayor to sign the notice of award. So if within your resolution, you could give the mayor authorization to sign the notice
It
of
is in the
award.
resolution, Jim. Okay.
Okay. And then, from there, once that is signed and returned to us, we'll take care of the contracting phase. We do anticipate that the notice to proceed would be in February at some point.
Great, thank you. Any
Thank
questions?
you.
You know,
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We have another presentation before we move on with the resolutions. It's from Mark Twitchell. If you'd like to come up, please, and I'd like to make a short presentation here to the board.
Thank you, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Mark Twitchell, Temple Street, Fredonia. My comments are made as a member of the Board of Directors of the Darwin R. Barker Library and Museum. I would ask that the potential loss of a historic property in the village of Fredonia be treated with the same amount of respect and consideration as any other valuable commodity or valuable institution in the village. For example, if an employer were faced with the possibility of leaving the village, this board might consider speaking with any state agency or with the employer to see if there was something that could be done in order to preserve the value of the village. And that's what a number of citizens are interpreting this as, a loss of value. Each of you has a folder that contains a table of contents and a significant amount of documentation. The table of contents includes the application by SUNY Fredonia for funding to demolish the Fenner House, a letter from SUNY Professor Daniel Reif, the Fenner photos from the Fredonia Fire Department Museum, photos from a display of Fenner items at the Darwin R. Barker Museum, and a depiction of the downtown Fenner building from 1919 and the present, and two written histories, one provided by Fredonia genealogist Elizabeth Settlemeyer, and one a reference to the Chautauqua County history website written by Fredonia historian Douglas Shepard in respect to the importance of Dr. Fenner to this community. That said, and not wanting to deliver a history lesson at this meeting, which is very consequential, but there are a number of considerations that I believe are open to this board. A moratorium could be made by a simple resolution that would state that no historic structure within the village of Fredonia that is listed by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation can be demolished. This moratorium could be, for example, a 6-month period, which would allow this board time to adopt a local law which would permit the demolition of historic structures if it were at discretionary or non-emergency events, with the input from the Fredonia Zoning Board, the Fredonia Planning Board, and the Office of Buildings and Code Enforcement. The moratorium could be very useful to the board, as I said, in terms of adopting a local law to preserve not only the Fenner Building but other historic structures in the village. The second item that I believe would be open to this board would be to submit a letter to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, confirming the fact that in the opinion of the Board of Trustees of Fredonia, this in fact is a historic structure. You'll note in reviewing the application that the demolition of the Fenner House must be approved by this State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, so that a letter from this board to that agency could be very influential. A third possibility would be to request the State University of New York to place the demolition in the context of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Now, certainly the demolition of a single structure does not normally rise to the level of a Type 1 action. A Type 1 action is such that it is significant and requires the filling out of an environmental assessment form. However, in the case of a demolition of a historic structure, that is indeed one of the thresholds that is considered to elevate a Type 2 action, which this might otherwise be, into a Type 1 action. And you'll notice in reviewing the application that the seeker is not mentioned at any point in that application, and I believe it would be appropriate if it were. And the fourth, and maybe final, but maybe not, possible action that the board could take would be to direct the Office of Building and Code Enforcement Officer to not comply with the request for asbestos abatement. I've had a conversation with the office, and I thoroughly understand that the building permit, which is required, as you'll see, the application does require a building permit, but apparently the state will provide its own building instructor. However, the village must comply with an asbestos abatement program, and if indeed the board were so inclined, direction could be given to the office to not comply with that. So those are the four items that I think could be considered. And with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you'll give this your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Twitchell.
The third thing you said, ask them to place a demolition under, what was that, office or whatever?
Well, the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and that is included in a reference to that is included in the application. I'm sorry I did not actually provide an address to which the board could send such a letter, but I'd be very happy to do so.
You mentioned they had to approve it. Have they approved it already, do you know, the demolition?
Not to my knowledge. However, there is some confusion amidst the concerned citizens such that we're not absolutely sure if the structure is already listed or is eligible. Now, eligibility is an important thing here because the seeker law determines a threshold not only if the building is listed, but if it's eligible for listing. And the letter that I included in your package from Dr. Daniel Reif certainly clarifies that situation, that this indeed, if it is not already listed, it is certainly an eligible structure to be listed. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move forward with our resolutions. Number one, addition of Michael Hobbs to the active roles of the Fredonia Fire Department. Any questions, concerns, comments? Resignation of John Weiss. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Fredonia Opera House 5K run/walk. Any questions, concerns, or comments? liquor license waiver. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Designation of newspapers. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Schedule of meetings. What I have proposed is a meeting, a workshop in between the meetings. So there are workshops opposite the meetings here.
Yes, I would like to talk about that. We passed a resolution, a year ago or so, to include the workshop in the meeting, as we're doing tonight, and to meet every other week so that it is uniform, people know when the meetings are, we know what's going to be discussed. So I would be in favor of, instead of the proposed schedule, of keeping what we're doing. I know someone expressed a concern that they didn't want to have to discuss something in a workshop and then vote on it the same night. I don't think that's a necessity. I think you can discuss something in a workshop and they'll have 2 weeks to vote on it or
You
think
can't vote
about
in a
it.
workshop anyhow. You can't vote, it's not.
Well, in
a
the same
meeting.
night. Their concern was discussing something in a workshop and then voting on it in the meeting later on.
Okay, we would
Okay,
still
and I
have.
said we could, we don't have to do that. You can discuss something in a workshop, think about it, talk about it, just whatever, research it, and then vote on it 2 weeks later. That's just a concern that someone
Okay, the
brought to
logic
me.
of this was to have all the information in front of you for a week. We can discuss it at a workshop at length if needed, and we still have the workshop before the meeting that next following week.
Right,
This was
yeah.
this was a plan that,
I'm just-
this was the meeting schedule and procedure that was done many years ago, and it worked well. And any
I
other
think
discussion on that?
I think the schedule that we have now works very well.
Is there any other discussion, concerns, or comments?
Yeah, it seems that the workshops, the way it was running, there was very little discussion. It seemed, as I said on the audience, that everything had kind of really been decided. If I'm gonna be part of this board, I wanna know everybody's opinions and comments and suggestions. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I guess the public should be aware that our workshops, our meetings might go a lot longer because we're gonna start having a lot of discussion before we actually get into the regular meeting. And I have no problem with discussing something today and acting on it 2 weeks from today, if that's gonna be our next meeting. But we've got a lot of projects. We've got a project in process right now at the wastewater treatment plant. Obviously, we're going out to bid with the water project. We're gonna be going out to bid with the Parker Commons. So I anticipate, especially if we're gonna be bringing in architects and engineers, that some of the workshops might be pretty lengthy. So I don't mind that, what you're suggesting, but I think the meetings are gonna be pretty long if we do it that way.
Understood.
I would like to make a comment also. I'd like to agree with trustee Pecos. There is a lot of things going on now. We have a lot of
There always have been.
projects in the works, and there's going to be a lot of questions and presentations brought before us. I don't think it's a problem to schedule a workshop in between our meetings. Doesn't mean we have to have a full-blown workshop. If there's nothing on the agendas and we seem to have worked out any details, then there's really no sense of having it. So at least getting it posted so that if we have it available, this would be our opportunity to get together.
But
Some of our committee appointments, there's going to be some discussion regarding different projects involving not only what we have on the table, but also some other things that are coming forth with our committees that have been put in place. So I think a time spent at a workshop to work out the details would be an opportunity for us to do that and then schedule the meeting so that we're all on the same page.
Well, we do have a workshop scheduled, so, I mean, it does include
But
a workshop.
I believe that it will extend, if we get into a lengthy discussion or a lengthy workshop, it's really gonna hinder.
Right, we could always meet earlier. I think that we've always had lots of things to discuss, and we've always had people come in, make presentations, and we've always had a lot of projects on the table, and we've been able to make it work with the schedule that we have now.
I found that we frequently had times, even though many times we had a lot of projects, but we also had times where we sat around looking at each other because we had completed the workshop until 7:30 when you were proposing that we have the meeting at 7:30. We're going back to something that wasn't working so well.
No, we're talking, continue our current workshop meeting,
But just include
including
additional
an
workshops.
additional
is what
workshop
we're-
if needed on the opposite Monday. But we're not going backwards here, we're going forwards. We want to keep everybody informed. This is a way to keep the entire board informed of every project that's going on, and if there's discussion on it, to have it, again, like the trustee Britt said, if there's lengthy discussion here, it's gonna make our meetings longer. If we can hash these things out in a separate workshop the week before and get things squared away, our meetings are straightforward. We can still have a workshop if things come up in between, but it just makes the meetings more, I feel more structured without,
Well, I disagree.
okay.
You know, I like the way we're doing it now. I think it works. I think people know when the meetings are, they can plan.
Meetings will
We
still be the same.
always have,
The meetings will still be the same,
Same.
Carol, we're just adding a workshop.
I understand that.
You don't have to come.
So you're adding another night in between.
That's all.
Right.
Just an
I thought that- I
opportunity
thought
so
that
we
it
can all get
stated
together and
under-
discuss a workshop, that we can discuss the details of a project or a resolution brought before the board, so that we have all an opportunity. We don't have to attend. We're not forcing anyone to attend. We
I
just want a
understand that.
schedule that we want to
But I
have a
also think
workshop.
it's, I think we need to get the department heads, it's gonna be additional time for them. Like I said, we're gonna have to get someone
That's
else to
great,
come in
because
and
then we have them
video
all,
it.
then we're all together and we can discuss an issue.
But we are all together
We are.
and discussing it. We're doing that right now.
And I think that clearly.
I agree with you. We should be
A
all
lot of the
together and
work that's-
discussing,
that
but we're
should
doing
be
One
that
at a
now.
time, please. Order.
Sorry.
Sorry. I think that part of the issue here is that the mayor here isn't be able to be here during the daytime, and he's looking to add more time in the evening to get together with everyone, bringing everyone in more time than what we had before, and he knew that going in. So it's unfortunate you can't be here during the day, but you're asking everyone to be here more time at night, and it was working just fine. Every other Monday, and the amount of work was getting done. And like I said, even sometimes we couldn't fill a full workshops, we had to wait for the meeting. Well, we changed that, and matter of fact, you voted yourself to change it, so, because it made more sense to work together like that, so that we had the meeting flow together, and every other week, and that's how it worked. But, so I'm not necessarily in favor of the way you have it. I would be in favor of what Kara is proposing.
Okay, Jim,
Trustee,
respond.
excuse me, Mayor. Trustee Bradshaw, you were with us for 4 years as a trustee. Well,
Bradshaw.
can you give me some sort of input? Bradshaw, I'm sorry.
Basha.
I'm
That's
sorry.
Jerry, the football player.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you give me some insight on maybe some of the structures of your board meetings when you were a trustee?
I think we did have a workshop that was perhaps once a month if the agenda required it. That wasn't the same night as the meeting. I think tying up every Monday of the month is a bit much for everybody, because you've just gone from meeting 2 nights a month to 4 nights a month for everybody. And although I think the discussion is important, why don't you start a workshop at 5:30 the night of the meeting, and when's the meeting start, 7 or 7:30?
It follows
It's just
immediately following
Or
the
immediately
workshop.
following. So that you are, but I agree, I don't think you should act on things that you've done in a workshop that night. I think you need to mull it over and plan on having it for the agenda the 2 weeks from, or however long it is. I think department heads are expected to attend meetings, correct? Is that correct?
Correct.
Regular
Workshops
meetings,
too?
We never had just plain workshops during my tenure here, so I
So that
don't
department
know.
heads don't need to attend workshops?
I would
I
hope
think
that,
if something pertained to that.
Yeah, I would think we
I would
maybe
like,
ask
I
them.
would ask them to
Workshops.
attend, we're not gonna make them attend, but
Yeah.
if there's something for discussion, I would like to see them there.
Right.
I could see if you'd set a meeting once a month, and like you say, Roger, if you need it, it's a
there.
workshop.
Which one?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Which
have to
Roger?
figure that one out. If you need it, then great. I'm not sure scheduling every Monday of the month, every month of the year is necessary.
Okay, if we don't, and we can't, if we form a schedule of meetings, we can't keep changing times based on.
I think
on
this
need.
schedule meeting is fine. Aren't these meetings every other week?
Right, now we would like to include a workshop in this somewhere.
Right. And can't they be before this?
They
That,
can
that
be.
does include the workshop. The workshop
No, I mean,
starts.
start at 5:30. On the
Every
days that
one?
you need, on the days that you need an extra workshop.
So how do we know that? We have to schedule
Well-
we have to approve a schedule.
Don't you know an agenda ahead of time?
I have an idea.
Don't you know what's on your agenda?
Yes,
ahead
but
of
if we're
time?
approving a schedule of meetings starting at a certain time, the workshop is part of the meeting. So when we put out a schedule of meetings, that time is when the meeting actually starts, because the workshop is part of our meeting.
And can you announce that every month, every week, or, I mean, it's the same thing as announcing a special meeting, right?
This is a 6-month, why don't we see how it goes until June? Because then in June, we would have to approve another 6 months of meetings. And we can see how this works. If we think we need more meetings, we could change it in June.
I don't have a problem with that, and if we're sitting here on the second Monday of the month, and we know we have a plate full of things to deal with contracts,
Right,
with
then you call a
projects,
meeting.
you
I
could
agree.
call a special meeting for the following Monday.
Absolutely.
If everybody's available, correct? A special workshop meeting just to discuss stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I have no problem with meetings, but if I'm gonna come in for a meeting, I think I'm like most people, I want it to be worth my time.
Right.
And I know we got a lot going on.
Okay. Jim, in response to your comment, scheduling these meetings had nothing to do with me working full-time during the day. Most of us do. This was a chance for us all to get together and discuss things in a workshop setting. Has absolutely nothing to do with me working full-time. Absolutely none, so I don't appreciate that comment. Moving forward.
Can I
the
just,
other-
I just have one more question.
Yes.
When it comes time to vote, what do we think we're gonna do? We're gonna go with this schedule? Because we have to vote on it tonight, so
That's right.
it just
Okay.
follows in every 2 week, continuing as we have done. Did you get one? I made 10 of them.
Now, there's some differences. I see April is different.
Yeah,
Right, this just continues every
May
2
is different.
weeks. Just like we've been doing for the
no.
last
well-
year.
Well, do you want to use the resolution with the exception of having the workshops?
No, because
every-
I've noticed that some of them are, like, there's like 3 weeks in between, I don't know why.
Is that because of Easter
Nope,
or some holiday?
it's
or-
not Easter.
You pass these out to Jim and.
This also, this particular schedule that I typed up eliminates the need to meet on Tuesday nights because of a holiday. It keeps it strictly on Monday night. Like, you know, if there's a holiday, a federal holiday, we have to meet on Tuesday. This keeps it strictly on Monday nights.
Well,
So
that's
there's
the-
no need to meet on a Tuesday.
That's the 3 weeks, because it's Memorial Day. Right here.
I don't have my phone.
Yeah, Memorial Day's on Monday. So you've made it 3 weeks between May 18th and June 1st, so if you just want to add
Did I
that
type it
Tuesday.
wrong?
No, it's fine, it's just you didn't add the Tuesday.
Where?
Right here, May 18th.
April
to June
6th must
1st.
be the first Sunday?
25th is Memorial Day.
Right, you haven't put it in.
But because it's
That's
the
why there's
same
3
week.
weeks.
No, it's every other week. No. This is different than the schedule and the agenda.
Okay,
This is every 2 weeks. May 18th,
okay.
June 1st, June 15th, June 29th. In the agenda here, there's something that's not.
Okay.
So in April, you started changing up the dates here. From April.
Right, but mine just keeps it every other week, every 2 weeks. I believe, that's what I tried to do. I think that's what this schedule is, the one that I typed up, which is different than the one in the agenda, which is not, there's like a jog in there, there's like a weird, I don't know what happened.
Well, yeah, there was, right.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
In some months, there are
Okay.
5 Mondays, yeah. And we didn't have anything scheduled for the 5th month.
Okay, I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was. I just tried to
Yeah,
keep it
there's-
every 2
there's 5
weeks.
in March. But if we go with Kara's suggestion, April 6th, that's actually the first Monday of the month. The one that was on the original schedule, the 13th is the second, it's the day after Easter, so I don't know if you have made
I won't be
vacation
here.
plans or anything, or?
See, the one that I created is so that you don't bump into holidays, I believe. So if we just continue doing what we've been doing every other week, we don't have any conflicts with holidays, I believe. Someone wants to double check my scheduling, have at it.
May 4th and 18th. What are your thoughts on that, Anne Marie?
I haven't had a chance to compare the two. We only have 1 or 2 holidays that we run into a problem with your schedule. And they just used to do it on a Tuesday then.
All right, this eliminates that. We know it's on Monday. That's what my thought.
So we have two choices here. We can go with the original calendar, scratch out the workshops that were in between the meetings and leave it as it is, or go with the alternative calendar that trustee Christina has proposed. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns on this, please? Trustee Pecos, what's your thought? Which,
Probably 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I don't know, would it be less confusing for the public if we keep it the first and third, or if we go every other week? I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, it doesn't, well, it's gonna change.
Right, well, yours is just every other week, which I
Right.
understand, or are people used to the second and fourth?
No, we just do every other week.
Mondays.
That's what we've been doing for a year. Just every other Monday,
Your schedule, I
right?
won't,
Isn't that what we've been doing?
I won't be here May 18th on your schedule, but I said I won't be here on May 18th on your schedule. That's the only meeting I see that I will miss on either schedule.
We'll miss you, Roger. I'll be
Roger.
sad that you're not here.
I'll be in Reno, so I'll try to think
You'll
of everybody.
be making some money.
Trustee Fritz? Any thoughts, questions, or concerns on either? So Roger Pecos, are you leaning towards the, which one, please? I need some thoughts here. Which one to go to so we can vote on it going forward,
I honestly don't have a preference, either one.
okay?
I mean, I just should keep probably what you came up with, the original one, just eliminate the bottom, but if everybody prefers the other one, that's fine with me.
Okay. Trustee Fritz?
I would like to go with the one that we proposed in our resolution.
Trustee Linden?
I'd like to go with the one that trustee Christina proposed.
Trustee Christina, obviously you want to go with the one you proposed. Trustee Rashaw?
I'd actually like to stick with this one because I haven't seen the other one yet. So this is the only one that I am familiar with, and this one's fine with me.
Okay, we'll go with the alternative schedule that trustee Christina has proposed.
Thank you.
Designation of banks. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Village official appointments. Any questions, concerns, or comments? MWPE officer.
Yeah, you might want to back up on the village official appointments on the agenda. They didn't have the attorney, and we added the attorney guard.
Be it noted, the attorney guard was added to the agenda to be part of the department heads to be approved. Designation, let's see, MWBE officer appointed. It's an officer we have to have appointed. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Urban Vantage contract with Travis Gordon. That's an extension of his current contract that he has with us.
Yeah, you've talked to him, right? You've been able to meet with him and.
Yeah, he's been a very big help. He's just an extension of Nate Aldridge.
During our workshop session, a few weeks ago, we brought it up that he was willing to come back on for a $1,000 reduction in his fee from last year. So it's put on the resolution to appoint him again this year.
What's up, why?
We didn't question it.
Probably just wants the opportunity to work with me.
I'm sure,
So, yeah,
of course, that's
It's worth
it,
$1,000
Roger.
bucks.
Okay.
Nice try.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Number 10, number 11, mud well pump change order for the wastewater treatment plant improvement project. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Do you have anything on that, Jim? Anything you'd like to comment on that?
Well, it's a proposed change order to the wastewater treatment plant project that's going right now. Is that right? I'd like to briefly explain to the board what so the mud well pumps need to be replaced. So the filter beds can be done, the actual project on the filter beds can be finished up. So the mud well pumps have been on the list for quite a while. And the contractor, H&K, was in the first filter bed. They demoed it, they're getting it prepped for pouring the concrete. Ran into a problem with the mud well pumps not pulling enough of the wastewater out of that area so it would back up into that area where they're in construction. So that can't happen when they're pouring new concrete. So this is kind of essential that gets done.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or comments on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12, wastewater treatment plant Volun motor and reducer repair proposal.
That's to fix the third, so we have all three operable, all three centrifuges?
Right, you
Yep.
have three of them, one of them's down right now, just repair the gearbox and the motor. So,
If you recall, not too long ago, the second one went down, so we only had one, so we had to do some emergency repairs to get that one. So this is to have a backup in case something happens with one of the two. So you're always running two, and one's a backup, or you run three?
most of the time, it's usually one.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Number 13, award bids for water system improvement project. Any questions, concerns, or comments on that?
Forward to get going on it.
Okay. Number 14, festivals, Fredonia schedule of events. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Number 15, Barker Common Improvement Project. That's, any questions, concerns, or comments on that? Authorization for DPW superintendent to bill time in relation to the emergency water line project. Any questions, concerns, or comments on that? Okay, we'll move to old business. I just have one thing for old business. North County Water District, we need to have our engineer who is doing the study on those connections to actually meet with us maybe in a workshop next meeting and give us direction on his thoughts so we can move forward on those or not on those emergency connections with the North County Water District.
That's on the one they're asking for on the east and west ends?
That's
Additional
correct.
ones?
On Route 20, connections at the Pomfret-Portland line and the Pomfret-Sheridan lines
Okay.
on Route 20. Is there any other old business?
Yeah, actually, I thought I had some here.
Do you have any old
I'm
business, Jim?
deciding on that, as far as old business. So on the schedule you have, we had a discussion, resolution for the police chief. Is that under resolutions?
That's one of the resolutions we just came up before this was, we discussed, it wasn't put on the resolution list.
It's not on the resolution list, but I see it's on here for.
Yes, because we just approved to bring it up for a resolution in the executive session. That's why it's not on the list yet. That's why it's not on the agenda that was given out to
So
everybody.
but
It will be.
We will be, as far as.
Bring that at the end.
Bring it, let's an add on to the end. I just
That's
wanna make sure
correct.
that's what we're doing, because I know you discussed, it wasn't in this agenda prior to us. We did receive those resolutions today. I know you did discuss it during your workshop, but it wasn't on the agenda for today, so I just want to make sure that was cleared. Okay, that's all.
Any other old business? Nope. Okay, let's move forward. New business, donation to Festivals Fredonia. Any questions, concerns, or comments?
Did we make a donation in the past? We've done it. We've donated. We have not donated in the
No,
past?
we did not.
We didn't budget for anything?
Can
I think we did.
Not that I'm,
Can't really do that.
okay.
I know we've discussed it before.
Standing committee appointments. Has everybody reviewed their appointments that I sent out to everybody?
You talked
I'm
about.
sorry, you're not. You know.
Should we table the appointments, so now that we have someone new on the board, maybe?
No,
fit it in? I don't
left
know how you
slots
wanna-
out in different
Right.
positions for when we got a new board member to be on those positions. So I will insert Eva Dawn in those positions, and I will forward her that list. So those are my recommendations for standing committee appointments.
You talked about having, rather than chair and vice chair, about just having 2 committee members. Have you thought any more on that, or?
Whatever the board would be more comfortable with. I'm okay to go with just 2 board members and not a chair and a vice chair, if that's the direction.
I think that makes it easier.
Okay, just 2 board members, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you know.
I did,
On the standing committees, I see that you have Roger Britz appointed to, what is it, approximately 26 committees?
there's not 26 committees on there. I tried spreading out so that everybody had roughly 5 and 6 apiece. You're all jointly put on 5 or 6 apiece, Jim.
But you broke it down, you broke up down committees that, and established committees that actually aren't according to our village codes.
Well, then I'm following our last administration's committee assignments and past assignments in the past. So if past administration's been going not according to our code, then I'm following what they have done,
This isn't
Jim.
specifically as what they had before. This, yeah, this isn't-
Specifically, what was done before does not mean I have to follow the specific appointments that were done in standing committees previous,
Not the
Jim.
appointments, but it seems that you have an agenda here. You have Roger Britz on 26, and then there's 13 other committees that you expect the rest of the board to be doing, split between the rest of the board. It seems kind of highly irregular there. But according to our Chapter 63, according to the rules of order, that the committees that are
I know that
are
chapter. I
standing,
appoint them and you can change
well, the
them.
standing committees are the committee on police department, the streets and sidewalks, finance, public buildings, fire and water, insurance, parks and recreation, zoning, planning, committee on lighting, committee on personnel, and committee on sewers.
Those are all covered.
And I would also like to make a motion that we would eliminate the one for personnel, because we have a human resources department now.
Jim, these are my appointments. They're not up for a resolution to change them at this point.
These are standing appointments put
These are
forth by the mayor.
Yep.
Could I
Look
see-
them over, please, and
I would also-
please look them
I would
over,
al-
and if you'd like to suggest changes, let's look at them at the next meeting,
I
please,
would,
okay?
well, I would like to object to the Roger Britz being on actually any committee associated with employees. Based on trustee Britz's history of workplace violence as recognized and voted by the Board of Trustees, and his denial to accept responsibility and issue an apology to affected employees as was directed by the Board of Trustees. I make a motion to remove his name from any committee in which he will have any kind of contact with current or prospective employees. More specifically, the police, the fire, the public works, and interview committees.
Jim, trustee Britz was never formally charged with any of those charges. That whole situation was dropped, as far as I'm concerned. I don't,
That situation was not dropped.
it was not moved forward. To have it moved forward for a job place work violence, you have to file a charge with the police, Jim. That was not done. This is not workplace violence. Please,
The Board of Trustees directed the trustee to do, he had an obligation to do something, and he never fulfilled that obligation.
okay, at this
So-
point in time, I
Excuse me,
made,
may I answer that one too? Trustee Linden, would you please find in the charter where trustees are self-governing? and have the power and the ability to prosecute another trustee on the board. Your recommendations and your so-called
There was a review of the board of the incident that took place, and.
and if I remember
the review of the
right,
board-
I believe there was a Democratic caucus take place that day, and it was brought forth that these
That has nothing to do with the
allegations and
allegations.
these
has
so-called directives for me to file and basically be an answer to your problem. I've never admitted any type of allegations. I was normally not formally charged with any kind of crime. This was something that was brought forth with the board. It was voted on a Democratic board. And I do believe this is not the place and time to be bringing up this
This
situation.
is a place and time. We're talking about appointing you to committees that will deal directly with the employees. And specifically with employees that were involved with at the time. And to put them in that situation again is, in my opinion, not proper.
Okay, that's your opinion,
It's
thank
true,
you.
that's why I brought it up.
Okay, thank you, let's move forward. Other new business, number 3, CSEA
Just
contract
to
negotiation.
clarify, that are we tabling this till next meeting?
No,
There's no
my
tabling.
appointment,
These are
my
the
appointment
mayor's appointments.
recommendations are,
Just clarifying?
yep, they're standing committee appointments. Number 3, CSEA contract negotiations are coming up. I've been officially notified.
Who will be doing those? The attorney, did the attorney do those?
Yes,
It depends on the board.
Who else would do them, if not an attorney? Who has a,
Eva can vouch for this. I think maybe back future negotiations were sometimes hired by an outside attorney, just so there wasn't any discrepancy between the employee bargaining unit and the employees in the village. I don't know if that's correct, but that's information I've received.
From time to time, the village administrator was involved in negotiations.
Along with an outside attorney.
Right, yes.
so that's probably the most proper way.
No, again, it's up to the board to decide which way we'd like to handle that negotiation, maybe internally or hire someone from the outside.
Okay. Any other concerns, questions, or comments on that?
The current agreement expires May 31st, so we do have a little bit of time to discuss that.
Yep.
Figure out our direction.
We do. Okay, Anne Marie, please. Now's the time to open our meeting up for a public portion.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
My name is Dave Ridden, Chestnut Street, Fredonia. I came to talk about the committee issue as well. After coming to the workshop last week, I looked at it and thought about it and then realized, well, that's not, though, as far as I know, based on the charter or whatever, maybe there's other standing committees I'm unaware of, but the standing committees in the charter are specific, and the list that end up, I'm not debating who's on them, I'm saying it's just a completely different list that has nothing to do with any known list of standing committees that were created by resolution at some time in the past. So I'm just asking and trying to find out what's the proper form for that, or where is the list of standing committees that have been created by resolution at some point that would differ from the way the charter is at this time?
Thank you. We'll get back to you on that. Thank you.
Well, I'm hoping you get back to me before you make the committees, because I don't really understand how those committees exist. You can have any committee you want and call it anything you want. The actual standing committees of the village are pre-described in our charter very specifically, and so you have to have a resolution about changing that or not. But the existing, the premise in front of you guys is that there are standing committees that I don't know where those exist or where they came from, that's all. And I don't know how you can vote on who's going to be on them or whether they exist until a resolution has been found that created them, or that you have to agree on that at some point, that these are real standing resolutions, or standing resolutions that create these committees. So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody else wish to comment?
I have a question for you, Chip Revolt. You mentioned in your thing about Dr. Fredonia, the Observer, the official paper, and stuff like that in your one announcement, is that correct?
That's correct.
Can we have the access as the official TV station? Add to that by chance?
I don't know that question.
No, we've never had it.
I don't know the answer to that.
The Observer is mentioned because we're required by law to advertise like in an official newspaper. So the board has to appoint an official newspaper for that to happen. We don't appoint a TV station. It's not required. And
Radio station is.
no,
No.
it's not required. It only mentions a newspaper.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other comments, questions, concerns? I move that the public portion be closed. I don't have a report for tonight. Trustees report, trustee Christina.
Yes, I just want to remind everybody, I mentioned it at the last meeting that I attended, on Saturday, February 1st. The Cable Advisory Board is hosting everyone who would like to join us for an open house in the cable studio. There's going to be coffee and cookies, and there's, thanks to Chip, he made a beautiful green screen. So you can, make a little TV show, or, and we've got so much new equipment, so you can go down and look at it, and there will be people like David will be there to explain what all this new equipment does and how it's used. And so we would like to invite everyone to come, and it will be for a half an hour before the program at the Opera House in the afternoon. And then it will be during the intermission, and then it will be also a half an hour before the movie that evening. So February 1st, there will be some notification in the newspaper, so put it on your calendars and please join us. We're also looking for volunteers, anybody who's interested in any way, shape, or form joining the Cable Advisory Board, anybody who's like technically proficient at that kind of thing, or just wants to, see what we're doing, please join us.
Trustee Linden.
Yeah, I'd like to make just to clear something up. It was commented or stated that I boycotted the first meeting that was presented of this year. But actually, no, that is not true. Did not boycott any meeting. I want people to understand, I've been on this board for 4 years prior. I worked on this for the village for a term on the planning board, and I attended every single meeting. Never missed one. I attended every single meeting. This special meeting, as it was described to us through our emails, not presented in the newspaper as a special meeting, but it was presented as a regular meeting initially. It was presented as a special meeting to us with no agenda, but also with the idea that it would be, the agenda would be anything that would become before the board, which presents no urgency. There's no urgency when it just says that no agenda is attached. I notified the clerk that I wasn't going to be able to attend because it wasn't, it was 2 weeks, when we normally have meetings 2 weeks apart, and I had plans for that Monday. There was no urgency. I decided not to change my plans, and I notified the clerk plenty in advance. Interesting enough, the mayor, which actually, who asked for the meeting on the 31st of December, he wasn't mayor yet. So anyhow, interestingly enough, the mayor decided to continue to have a meeting or workshop, even though he knew he wasn't going to have an agenda, a quorum. He presented later presented an agenda for a workshop, and again, it was advertised as a regular workshop, and it was just, and to us, the emails they sent claimed a special workshop. Clearly knowing that there was no quorum for either of those, or any of those, he asked the meeting to be recorded, no quorum, the people to attend, no quorum, and no business can be conducted. It was nothing more than a coffee hour. What I'd like I said, I wanted to clear that up. It was not any intent to boycott. I informed them my next availability would be this date today. That's all I have to say.
Trustee Gritz.
I don't know if I can follow that one. Let's throw some excitement in the room. Small Business Revolution kicks off tomorrow morning at 6:30. I would like to extend a welcome to everyone to come down to the Opera House to attend the reveal party. It begins at 6:30 with a live Facebook feed to be presenting Fredonia, hopefully as the top 5 finishers. From there, we have a small agenda planned as part of that committee. I would like to kind of go through the agenda with everyone. It was a arrival at 6:30, a Facebook Live event to be performed between 6:45 and 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., hopefully that we are announced that we're in the top 5. We're going to have Grace, who was gracious enough to award or nominate us for this great event. And that following that, there's going to be, hopefully if all goes well again, there's going to be an instructional video and presentation from the rest of the board members on how to vote. And we would like to see everyone participate in this. One thing that bothers me the most is that this was designed to be an activity through the chamber, had no village involvement whatsoever. It was a way for our small businesses to kind of reunite, find each other, work together as a team. Another way for us to kind of communicate as small businesses in the village and really gain some support and enthusiasm on how we can all start promoting our little village to the rest of the world. I find it very disruptive and very disappointing that there are maybe a very small percentage of 1 or 2 businesses that are on Main Street in the village that didn't participate in this and felt that this was a silly opportunity. Unfortunately, that's not how this was set out. It was a way for the village to come together, not only through our chamber, but our festivals, our village government, and to reach out to other communities as a spotlight for a national television show. I just would like to say that I hope everyone has an opportunity to be part of this. It's a great opportunity for our village. And even if it gives us a little limelight in this corner of the world, I think it's a good thing. That's all I have at this time.
Trustee Pecos.
We'll be passing a revolution, that's your word, a resolution in a little while, hopefully, for the Barker Common Improvement Project. I've been studying the drawings, had a number of questions which I discussed with the architect, and we're going to be doing some really nice work in the park, replacing benches, reconfiguring it, fixing the sidewalks that are bad, so a little bit of water, electrical work, doing a lot of work in front of the gazebo, so that when we have a concert or something, it's not just that dirt area, it'll be something a lot nicer. So really excited about the improvements that'll be happening to the park. We're limited, unfortunately. We only had so much money in the grant, so we would have liked to have done a lot more, but at least it will look nicer. That's
Thank you. Jim, trustees report?
I don't have anything to comment about the financial reports right now because they're not completed yet, but I did want to bring to your attention a concern on reference to the Barker Common Grant project. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a conflict in terms of the resolution awarding the Festivals Committee's list of projects. The first one is June 7th. So I'm wondering if they'll be able to hold that, because we don't know the timetable yet for the actual construction at the park. So you might want to adjust, pardon?
The architect was talking about it might go into first or second week of July.
Yeah, so you might want to take a look at that. That's all. Just want to bring that to your attention.
So, trustee Bashaw, report, please. I apologize.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, I apologize. Reports, please.
Follow report is for the month of December from the Village Justice Court. Number of cases closed, vehicle and traffic 73, criminal 29, village ordinances 14, civil cases 3, ABC laws 4, for a total of 123 cases. Total fines and surcharges $8,048, parking tickets $4,399, for a total of $12,447. The Fredonia Fire Department report for the month of December 2019. Total fire 4, rescue and EMS 118, hazardous conditions 2, service call 5, good intent call 14, false alarm and false call 18, for a total of 161. The Fredonia Fire Department annual report for the year of 2019. Total fire 29, overpressure, rupture, explosion, or overheat, no fire, 1. Rescue and EMS, 1,420. Hazardous conditions, no fire, 49. Service call, 64. Good intent call, 190. False alarm and false call, 216. Severe weather and natural disasters, 1. For a total of 1,970 calls for the year 2019. And I have a Village of Fredonia Police Department report for the month of November 2019. It is, sorry, it's here somewhere. Fredonia Central School calls for service 4, incidents reported 634. That's the total, I apologize. Fredonia Central Service calls for service 4, accidents 19, arrests reported 22, vehicle and traffic 26, parking tickets 147. The building inspector has a report, which I did not get on this agenda for this meeting, so I will have it at the next meeting. And those are the reports.
Thank you very much. Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to add Michael Hobson to the active roles of the Hook and Ladder Company.
Be it resolved that the name of Michael Hobson, 90 Risley Street, Fredonia, is hereby added to the active roles of the J.S. Lambert Hook and Ladder Company, effective immediately.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
A letter of resignation was received from John Weiss, resigning from his position as account clerk effective Friday, April 3rd, 2020, for the purpose of retirement.
Be it resolved that the resignation of John Wise as account clerk is hereby accepted effective April 3rd, 2020, for the purpose of retirement, and the mayor is hereby authorized to write a letter to Mr. Wise, thanking him for his service to the Village of Fredonia. I sponsor that with regrets.
I'll second the motion.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Aye.
And Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Correspondence dated December 30th, 2019 was received from Rick Davis, Executive Director of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House Incorporated, requesting the use of Barker Common, the gazebo, certain village streets, and the closing of Church Street between Day and Temple for a 5K run Sunday, April 26, 2020, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Be it resolved that the request from Rick Davis, Executive Director of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House Incorporated, to use Barker Common, the gazebo, certain village streets, and the closing of Church Street between Day and Temple for a 5K run on Sunday, April 26, 2020, from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Day Street be blocked for the start of the race for no more than 10 minutes and with police assistance, is hereby approved with the stipulation that the group will be responsible for cleanup and is subject to the direction of the police department and the village receiving a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the village as an additional insured, which has been received.
I second that. I do have a question, though. Similar to what you brought up, do we need to make them aware that with the Barker Common project, we may have to, I don't know if we're gonna have to move them or not?
I'll have to address that.
I mean, do we need to alter the resolution saying
I know that when,
pending availability?
I don't think it matters, does it?
Well, I don't think we have to act on that right now. Until the, Joy, the architect, gives us the actual
Construction.
work schedule,
Okay.
which you'll receive after she gets the approval from the State Preservation Historic Preservation Society. So-
I think this is also weather dependent. A couple
Okay.
of years ago, it was cold and raining, so they were in the Opera House instead of at the gazebo, so
Okay.
that might affect it.
We probably should make Rick aware of it, though, that it could be an issue.
So a motion was made, second. Any other
I second
further
it.
discussion?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, trustee Christina, trustee Linden,
Aye.
trustee Britz,
Aye.
trustee Pecos,
Aye.
trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Correspondence was received and approved from Hotspot of Fredonia Incorporated, DBA Sunny's, notifying the village that they will be applying for their on-premise liquor license and requesting a waiver on the 30-day advance notice for property located at 43 to 45 Water Street, Fredonia. We
Do we
don't,
not have a resolution?
yeah,
The letter is the resolution,
okay,
sorry.
okay. Well, can I have a motion on that, please?
Do we even need it or no?
You don't need
You don't need it.
Do we don't need it? Okay.
I don't know.
Don't need it. Attorney Guard?
I'm sorry.
Do we need a resolution authorizing the receiving and approval of the hotspot liquor license waiver?
Yes, that would be appropriate, but it could be done orally right now at the meeting if everybody's okay with it.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes. But this is an ABC board decision, not ours.
Okay,
But we have to.
do we still, okay,
Attorney Guard?
No, well, yes, that's correct. The ABC law does control the liquor licenses and everything. The local governments are given the opportunity not to make the business wait the 30-day waiting period, that we can just waive that, and that's all we're doing. That's fairly common. Pretty much all the liquor license holders in Dunkirk receive that, and the ones in Fredonia have too.
Did the resolution say we were waiving the 30 days?
yes,
Yes.
it did. A
Thank
waiver
you.
and a 30-day advance notice for property located at 43 to 45 Water Street.
Then yes.
Okay, thank you. Resolutions.
Be resolved that the Observer of Dunkirk, New York is hereby designated the official newspaper of the Village of Fredonia for the year beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Can you second that, Carol, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Pecos? Sorry, go. Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee
Doesn't
Pecos?
matter as long as he calls the roll.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah, I'm kind of roll.
Okay, how should I do this? How do we want to do this one? Be it resolved that the scheduled meetings of the
Yep.
Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia of the period January 2020 through June 2020, as amended to follow the previously board-approved procedure of meeting and workshop at 6:30, and with the regular board meeting be held directly after the workshop, and attached to these minutes is hereby approved. And be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to publish said notice in the Observer and to mail a copy of said schedule to WDOE Radio, Jamestown Post-Journal, and the Buffalo News, and we need to provide them with a different schedule, correct?
Yes, we'll provide them with this one.
Okay.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the following banks pursuant to Village Law Sections 4-4 are hereby designated the official banks for the Village of Fredonia for the year beginning January 1, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020. Manufacturer and Traders Trust Company, 1 East Main Street, Fredonia, New York. MBIA Municipal Investors Service Corporation of Denver, Colorado. J.P. Morgan Chase and Company of New York, New York.
I'll second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the following appointed officials and employees are hereby appointed or reappointed to their respective positions and at their present salaries and benefits as modified by the board resolution or budget adoption for the ensuing official year commencing on January 13, 2020 and ending on January 11, 2021. And until their successor are appointed or qualified unless sooner removed from office or employment as provided by the charter or other applicable law. Number 1, Village Treasurer, James M. Sedota. Village Clerk, Anne Marie Johnson. Chief Inspection Officer, Building Inspector, Zoning Enforcement Officer, Chuck LaBarbera. Park and Recreation Director, Thomas Battaglia. Receiver of Taxes, Lori Richardson. Streets Supervisor and Commissioner, Anthony Gugino. Fire Chief, Ryan Walker. Acting Village Justice, Nancy Dietzen. Number 10, Village Attorney, Dan Guard.
Have a second on that, please.
Mayor, if I might,
Does this have to be with the
Chief Walker shouldn't be on that list. He's a permanent civil service appointment, and so he's not reappointed every year like the rest of the appointments.
I'd like
I
to
knew there was
rescind
something
number
like that.
8, Fire Chief Ryan Walker to be removed from the resolution.
Can I have a second on that, please?
Is that,
There needs
be
to
it further
be-
resolved?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last part needs to be
Oh, I'm
read.
sorry. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees further reserves all rights under the Charter in Section 75 of the Civil Service Law for removal or other disciplinary action for any past or future acts or conduct of employees or officers of the village which may fall within pursuant to Section 75 of the Civil Service Law or the Charter.
Now may I have a second?
I will
please?
second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes, with reservation?
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that Douglas P. Essek, Mayor of Fredonia, is hereby designated as the MWBE Officer for the Village of Fredonia and is authorized to sign all quarterly reports.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Whereas the village requires basic economic development services, and whereas Urban Vantage LLC, 170 Ashland Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222, has offered to perform said services from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, for a fee of $24,000 plus reasonable expenses, and whereas economic development services are professional services and do not require public bidding pursuant to paragraph 6A of the village's procurement policy, therefore, be it resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to enter into an agreement with Urban Vantage LLC for basic economic development services.
I'll second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Resolution to authorize mud well piping change order for the wastewater treatment plant improvement project, whereas Sean Rayner, Chief Operator at the wastewater treatment plant, is proposing to change order to the wastewater treatment plant improvement project to install 2 new check valves, owner furnished pumps, and miscellaneous piping to make offsets for a new pump configuration and custom flanges and reducers, and be it resolved that H&K Services, Inc. of Leon, New York, the general contractor for the wastewater treatment plant improvement project, is authorized to provide above services at a price not to exceed $17,124. Be it further resolved that BECC Electric of Fredonia, New York, the electrical contractor for the project, will provide the services for the necessary electrical work at a cost not to exceed $938.77. The change order is subject to the final approval of the Environmental Facilities Corporation.
I will second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Resolution to repair motor and foot Jones's gearbox and 50 horsepower Baldar AC motor, whereas the result of emergency repair pursuant to section 103.4 of the General Municipal's Law, the repairs must be authorized due to the requirement necessary to have 3 motors functioning to operate the screw pumps to move more waste to the waste treatment plant. Therefore, be it further resolved that Voland Electric Equipment Corporation of Buffalo, New York is hereby authorized to repair and rebuild the gearbox and motor at a cost not to exceed $35,522.60. The amount to be paid from the wastewater treatment plant operating budget.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Resolution to award bids for the Village of Fredonia Water System Improvement Project number 18389 to the low bidder. Whereas bids were received on December 19th, 2019 at 11:02 a.m. at Village Hall for the purpose of providing the lowest bid for contract number 2A General Construction and contract 2B Electrical. And whereas O'Brien and Gear, Rochester, New York, or OBG, the engineers on the project, have reviewed all the bids received and are making the following recommendations to the village board after reviewing the experience, qualification, and resources of the low bidder for each contract. Therefore, be resolved that OBG is recommending awarding contract 2A General to the low bidder submitted by Candy Company Incorporated for $1,546,302. And be it further resolved, per the engineer's review, Candy provided the MWBE utilization plan, signature page, and NWBE waiver request form with supporting documentation that outlines a request for partial waiver due to lack of an MWBE contractor/vendor in area and specialty equipment project requirements. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees awards the bid to Candy Company Incorporated, West Seneca, New York, in the amount of $1,546,302, subject to the approval of the New York State Department of Health and the Environmental Facilities Corporation, not subject to any reduction in the processing of waivers for the NWBE requirements established in the bid specifications. And be it further resolved that OBG is recommending awarding contract 2B Electrical to Alstrom Schaefer Electrical Corporation of Jamestown, New York, the low bid in the amount of $354,700, subject to the following informalities. The proposed MWBE utilization plan identified full utilization through purchase of materials through an MWBE vendor and did not take into account recent changes to the NYSEFC program limiting MWBE credit for suppliers to 60%. The MWBE waiver request form included to be determined upon award of contract for proposed MWBE participation goals, and be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees awards the bid to Alstrom Schaefer Electrical Corporation, subject to the approval of the New York State Department of Health and Environmental Facilities Corporation, not subject to any reduction in the processing of waivers for the MWBE requirements established in the bid specifications. And be it further resolved that the above-named contractors for this project are required to provide a performance bond and a labor and material payment bond. Thank you very much.
I second that.
Been a motion and second for that lengthy resolution. Is there any other discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Aye.
Trustee Pecos.
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Be it resolved that permission is hereby granted to Festivals Fredonia Committee for the use of Barker Commons as various park spaces and village streets for the following festivals and/or events. Fredonia Italian Festival, June 27th, 2020. Fredonia History Days, July 10th and 11th, 2020. Fredonia Farm Festival, August 21st through the 23rd, 2020. Red, White, and Blues Festival, September 11th and 12th, 2020. Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour, October 16th and 17th of 2020. Miracle on Main Street, December 5th, 2020.
I second the resolution.
Been a motion and second. Is there any other further discussion?
Is that pending? Are we going to state with the work done on the Barker Commons that the two, at least the two top ones will be affected, correct?
Possibly. Maybe the top one. Yeah, we have to wait till we determine that from the
Once we get that
architect and from-
information, we'll contact the festivals and let them know.
Yep.
Excuse me one second. Tony, did you have any discussion on this or anything that you needed to add?
No, I just think that, normally, once we get once they advertise for bids and so forth, just like with the water plant upgrade project, now that you've given authorization to award the bid to the contractors, shortly thereafter, we'll have a pre-construction meeting, and at that meeting, that's when it's normal for the contractors and engineers to lay out their theoretical timeline. So we'll have a lot better idea of what will be entailed as far as possible interruptions.
And what's the timeline on that?
Well, the Barker Common project?
No, your meetings and when those things might become available to us, those.
Well, as far as the water plant project, which just got voted on tonight, that'll be probably a month turnaround from
How
the.
about the one with the parks?
Barker Common, I'm not sure, I wasn't involved with that meeting, but I would think, they're gonna advertise it right away, aren't they?
No.
No.
They had to send permission, they had to send the bid documents and specifications to the state SHPO.
Parks for,
Parks and Recreation, Historic Preservation
Oh.
for final approval. And she informed us that would take anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 weeks before that's approved. That's why we went ahead and said we went ahead to authorize the approval and the advertisement upon receiving notice of the approval from SHPO. So it could be 4 or 5 weeks before they finally give a final approval. Right. Then we go out and advertise for bids. Right. Then there's probably 3 to 4 weeks turnaround before the bids are awarded. Right. Well, with that in mind, I would recommend that we at least, and not wait until these dates are, whether we know that they're available or not, because if Fredonia Italian festivals or the History Days have to move someplace else, now's the time they're gonna start booking those places like the fairgrounds or what. You're talking about 2-3 months out. Possibly. And if we wait that long, they may not have the availability to book them someplace else. They should at least have a backup and notification that there is a possibility that these dates are not available because of work done on the park.
so we need to, I called the Italian Festival people, and also, I guess, the Opera House here was Rick Davis using the gazebo
And
during
even the History Day people.
History Day as well.
As part of the standing committees, I'm part of the festivals group. I'll reach out to them at our next board meeting. We'll discuss it then.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
And Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees approve the plans and specifications of the Barker Common Improvement Project, EPF 162587, and authorizing a legal notice to be published in the official newspaper, also required by General Municipalities Law, upon receiving notice of approval of the plans and specifications by the Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia wishes to create a force account authorizing the village DPW superintendent to bill time-related work performance on the Village of Fredonia's emergency water main project. And hereas the Village of Fredonia DPW superintendent has been authorized to provide services related to an ongoing Village of Fredonia emergency water project, classified as the water project, beyond his ordinary village DPW activities and duties. And whereas such activities including but not necessarily limited to construction, oversight, paperwork, and administrative related to the water project, therefore be it resolved that it is estimated that these responsibilities will require approximately 300 hours, and that the Village of Fredonia's time will be charged at a rate of $36.30 per hour for the water project associated activities.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
All right, we're on to those.
We're on to these?
Yep.
Okay.
Be resolved that Erlissa LeBeau, 2 Westerly Drive, Fredonia, New York, is hereby appointed to the position of account clerk at an hourly rate of $16.28 with benefits, effective immediately, subject to civil service rules and regulations, and to a probationary period of 6 months.
I will second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Trustee Christina?
This is the clerk that would be then
Replacing John.
John
Yep.
Weiss.
Correct.
That is what he is doing.
That is correct.
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
As I stated before, I don't believe that Trustee Britz, who did the interviews, should be involved with personnel, but for this particular position, with the resignation of John Weiss, I vote aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that Zachary Hand, 17 Crawford Lane, Lakewood, New York, is hereby appointed to the position of full-time police officer per his ability on the Civil Service Certificate of Eligibility Preferred List for police officers, with the Village of Fredonia Police Department at an hourly rate of $24.89, subject to civil service rules and regulations and subject to probationary period of 54 weeks. This appointment shall take an effect Tuesday, January 14th, 2020.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Again, Trustee Britz was involved with the interviewing and I feel that he should not be involved. But I do believe that the position is necessary. I vote aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the annual rate of pay for Anne Marie Johnston, village clerk, is hereby increased from $16.41 per hour to $18.41 per hour, effective immediately.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Be it resolved that Philip Moshlock, 10 Woodward Drive, is hereby provisionally appointed to the position of police chief at a minimum salary of $92,000 with benefits provided in the village benefit policy provided for department heads.
I'll second the motion.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Again, Trustee Britz was involved in the interviews on this. I feel it was inappropriate for him to do so. The position is necessary. We need to fill the position. It'll be provisional due to the inability to take the exam immediately or within a very reasonable amount of time. So anyhow, I vote aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
If there's no further business, will somebody call for a
I motion to adjourn.
adjourn? Kind of second?
A second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Thank you.
Starving.